friends, welcome to Tarun IAS. Today we will be discussing daily current affairs of 3rd of December 2022. So let's start with the first news of the day. The first news is about the maternal mortality ratio. Now, India has recently improved the maternal mortality ratio to 97 deaths per lakh in the year 2018 to 20 from 130 deaths per lakh in the year 2014 to 2016. Now, if you look at the graph from 2018 to 2020, the maternal mortality ratio is 97 per lakh of population, or I mean per lakh of women. But it was in the year 2014 to 16, it was 130 deaths. So we have improved maternal mortality ratio. Now, what are the reasons behind such improvement? The first reason is the institutional deliveries, that is greater than 80%. And second is improvement in the medical facilities in rural areas, especially with the initiatives such as Poshan Abhiyan, etc. Alright, so these are the probable reasons behind the improvement which has been seen in the maternal mortality ratio. The maternal mortality ratio is defined as the number of maternal deaths during given period per lakh of the live births. The Registrar General of India releases the special bulletin on maternal mortality ratio, and India has accomplished the national health policy target of reducing maternal mortality ratio less than 100 deaths per lakh of live births. India is on the track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal of MMR less than 70 per lakh of live births by the year 2030. 8 states have already achieved Sustainable Development Targets for MMR. The institutional births across the country has increased to 88.6% in the year 2019 to 2021 from 78.9% in the year 2014 to 16. The anemia levels among women between the ages of 19 and 49 have increased to 57% in the year 2019 to 2021 from 53.1% in 2015 to 16 financial year. Now the level of anemia according to National Family Health Survey 5 is greater than 50%. Alright, and anemia in women is not just a health issue, but it is a social issue as well. Alright, so 8 states in India have already achieved this SDG target for MMR, and India is on the right track to achieve the Sustainable Development Target of MMR less than 70 lakh live births by the year 2030. Let's move on to the economic session today. I have taken the economic news from the Hindu newspaper. There are two important news with respect to the economy in India. The first one is the growth in the bank credit according to the RBI, and the second news is about the increase in the FOREX Reserve of India. The credit growth is that Indian banking system outstanding credit grew by 16.96% for the fortnight which ended on November 18. The bank credit grew to rupees 133.29 lakh crore for the fortnight ended November 18 as against rupees 113.96 lakh crore on November 19, 2021. The deposit growth came at 9.30% with the overall base, that is 177.15 lakh crore. So the key takeaways from this news would be that there is a credit growth in the banking system of 16.96%. Let's move on to the current fiscal has seen a steady rise in the credit growth, which is driven by a variety of reasons. First is the economic growth, which was registered approximately 6%, about 6% in the third quarter. as compared to the first quarter, in which the five of the 8 core industries, they registered declining growth. So we had discussed one editorial with respect to the economic perspective. You can go and watch that editorial on our channel. So if we look at the credit growth, then there has been, the first reason is the economic growth. The second reason is the borrower's shift to bank from credit substitute amid the rising interest rate. Now there has been an increased formalization with respect to the credit availability. All right. The next news of the day is about the rising FOREX Reserve. FOREX Reserve, what does it mean? It means the foreign exchange, and it has increased by $2.9 billion, and it currently stands at $550.142 billion as on November 25th. Basically, foreign exchange reserves, they are the assets for our country, and they are held by the central bank of the country in foreign currencies, which is usually dollar. And there are various components of our forex reserve. We will discuss those components as well. The forex currencies, they are held in terms of bonds, treasury bills, and other government securities. And it needs to be noted that the most foreign exchange reserves, they are held in US dollars. So forex reserves, it includes the foreign currency assets, which is mostly held in dollars, the gold reserves, the special drawing rights, and the reserve transposition with the IMF. Now this special drawing rights, it is not any form of a currency, right? So let us look at these components one by one. So the first component is the foreign currency assets. Basically, they are valued on a currency other than the current country's own currency. So if rupee is our currency, we are going to have the foreign currency assets will be in terms of dollar. Then gold reserves, it of course means the physical storage of gold. All right. The next component is special drawing rights. Now, SDR, it is an international reserve that was created by IMF in the year 1969 in order to supplement the member countries' official reserve. It is neither a currency and it is nor a claim on IMF. Rather, it is just a potential claim on the freely usable currency of IMF, and SDR can be exchanged for these currencies, which includes euro, which includes dollar, it includes pound, the sign is something like this, the pound sterling, then euro is also there, right? And renminbi, which is Chinese currency. So these are the 5 currencies which forms the SDR basket. Is that right? Now let us talk about the reserve position of with the IMF. Now basically the reserve transposition implies it is a portion of the required quota of currency that each member country must provide to the IMF that can be utilized for its own purpose. Now let's say this is IMF and this is India. So India is going to store some quota of currency with IMF, so that this quota can be utilized by India only in case of in the situation of need. For example, in 1991 BOP crisis, the balance of payment crisis, right? The reserve trans is basically an emergency account. So if I simplify what reserve transposition is, it's just an emergency account with the IMF, and can be accessed at any time without agreeing to conditions or paying a service fee. Now generally what happens when IMF provides loan to any country, it puts certain restrictions, or it puts certain conditions before the country in order to avail the loan facility. However, if a country is going to basically utilize its own emergency account, then there will be no conditions on which it will have to agree with IMF. Alright. The next news of the day is about the Digi Yatra. Now, government has recently reduced the paperless entry at the selected airports to make air travel hassle-free. The news has been taken from the Indian Express explained page. See, under this initiative, the government basically has introduced the facial recognition software, which is known as Digi Yatra, for the entry of the passengers. Then they will not be needing to carry their ID cards or boarding pass. The initiative, it will be seen at 7 airports. First, it will be implemented in Delhi, Bengaluru, and Varanasi, and thereafter it will be implemented in the on the I mean at the airports of Hyderabad, Kolkata, Pune, and Vijayawada. That is in Andhra Pradesh. By March 2023, these other 4 airports will also have the facility of Digi Yatra. Now, basically, what Digi Yatra is, it envisages a traveler's pass through various checkpoints at the airport so that it can have a paperless and a contactless processing, which will utilize the facial features to establish their identity, which then would be linked to the boarding pass. The airlines involved are Air India, Vistara, Indigo, and there will be other airlines such as SpiceJet, etc., which are in the pipeline in implementing the Digi Yatra. However, these three airlines are involved for the domestic network. In order to avail the facility of Digi Yatra, the Aadhaar-based validation and a self-image capture will be required. So at the airport, a e-gate facility will be there, which will first scan the barcoded boarding pass, and then there will be a facial recognition system installed at the e-gate, which will validate the passenger's identity and travel document. It currently exists at various international airports such as Dubai, Singapore, Japan, and Atlanta. In India, it will be implemented by the Digi Yatra Foundation, which is a joint venture company whose stakeholders are Airport Authority of India and 5 airports of Delhi, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Cochin. Let's move on to the next news of the day. The next news is about the Agnikul's launch facility. See, the Chennai-based startup space tech startup Agnikul Cosmos, it has inaugurated India's first private space vehicle launchpad at Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sri Harikota, Andhra Pradesh. Now, if you see what is this launchpad facility, so if a satellite, or say if a space rocket is to be launched, we need to have a facility which will cater to the prerequisites of the satellite and the rocket or the space rocket. So that facility, that place from where the rockets and satellites are launched, is known as the launchpad facility. Currently, ISRO had the facility of providing the launch pad. Now, the first private launch pad vehicle, space vehicle launch pad has been established by Chennai-based space tech startup. The Agnikul launch pad and the Agnikul Mission Control Center, which are 4 kilometers apart, right? The launchpad has been designed to accommodate and support liquid stage control launches. The Agnikul Cosmos is planning to launch its Agni-Ban rocket from this launchpad. So there is Agnikul launchpad facility, and the rocket that will be launched is known as Agni-Ban. Alright. The launchpad is specifically built to address the need for ISRO's range operation team to monitor key flight safety parameters during the launches. Now, if you see that recently there has been a rising trend with respect to privatization of space industry, and moving in the similar direction, India has also launched its institutions such as InSpace and NSIL, that is New Space India Limited, which will cater to the needs of the private sector, which will cater to the need of the private sectors in gaining entry in the space sector of India, which has been emerging as a huge market. All right. So therefore, in order to cater to the needs of ISRO, this launchpad facility will come in handy. Additionally, it has the ability to share data and other critical information with ISRO's Mission Control Center. Now let us talk about the Agniban, which then will be launched from the Agnikul launchpad facility. Basically, it's a two-stage launch vehicle that is capable of taking payloads of up to 100 kilograms to a low Earth orbit around 700 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. It will be powered by the company's 3D printed agnikul engines. Let us move on to the next news of the day, which is about Bintu Rong. Now, what happened in Manipur Ukhrul town? There have been scanning gambling dens following the report of the wild animals, dead or alive, being offered as prize for the raffle draws. Now, this Bintu Rong and other exotic animals, they are being offered as a prize. They are being offered as prize, dead or alive, in in gambling, right? So therefore, Binturong has come into highlight. Now, Binturong is commonly known as bear cat or cat bear. It's a cat-like omnivorous that belongs to the civet family, and it is found in the dense forests of Southeast Asia. It has long shaggy hair and tufted ears. So if you look at the tail, it has a long shaggy tail and the ears are tufted. The prehensile tail, the color generally is black with a sprinkling of whitish hair. The binturong is principally, it is nocturnal. That means it ventures into forest during night. The crepuscular, that is, it is active during twilight. It is found most often among the trees, using its prehensile tail as an aid in climbing. It feeds mainly on fruits such as figs, but it also takes eggs and small animals. In some areas, binturongs are tamed and they have been reported as being an affectionate pets. Its range extends from Nepal, India, Bhutan, and southward to the Indonesian island of Sumatra and Java, and eastward to Borneo. Let's look at the conservation status of Bunturong. It is vulnerable in IUCN Red List. It is in Appendix 3rd of CITES, and it is protected under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Tarun IAS. If you want to download the PDF of this session, you can go to the Telegram channel. The link will be given in the description below. Have a nice day.